Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk to you about our latest product, the Hinge Dogs. So, a few weeks ago we announced our latest Hinge Dogs, which we had and which we done prototypes, and yes, they were done in 3D print, which is great for doing prototyping. And what that allowed me to do is to show you the product, discuss it with a video we done previously, and it was great because we had such a great response from the video and we got lots of feedback, and that feedback helped us mold the product a little bit better when it came to it. So I can announce now that this is our Hinge Dogs. It's made of aluminium, as we stated, and with the stainless steel dogs here. But we have made a slight change. As I said, we've listened to feedback and we've made these changes to make the product better. So let me talk you through it. So as before, the dog's attached to the track by a couple of grub screws in here, which keeps it nice and rock solid, and it allows you to slide the track in and out as much as you need to. And if you, as I said before, if you're working in a tight space, you can have it all the way back as much as you can. And the way that we've designed the dogs was to allow you to get closer to your fence, so you can maximize your area of your cross cutting. And as you can see here, this comes right up close to our fence system. Okay, now as you can see, the fence system locks into place with the grub screw, like so, and like before, same as the 3D printed version, just simply hooks up and allows you to move your workpiece freely. And that's as simple as it is. Now, what we've done is, in regards to changes, and it was a feedback that we took note of, is people don't like little tiny grub screws and little tiny Allen keys. So what we've done is we've maximized the collar here. But instead of it being a collar, it's actually part of the dog. So as you can see here, we've actually incorporated the collar into the dog, which allows you to, once you've got it set, it's in there rock solid, as you can see, not even moving. And then we machined a flat on here, which is the part that literally goes close to your fence and giving you maximum support within the hole. So as you can see, I've got these dogs all set up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it all apart and I'm going to show you how you put them together and how I do it. It's quite easy really. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just undo these little grub screws here just to loosen the track. That allows me to now pull my track out and to put it inside. And as you can see, these are all self-supported here. And then I'm going to loosen the dog here. As I said, a nice big grub screw. So now I want to set this up. I want to put our track in, so you've got your dogs all set up. Just remember that with the one that goes on this side here, you can have it set in the middle. You can also have it set on the outside. It's entirely up to you, but it's important that you have the one nearest your fence on this side here, because this is what allows you to get close into it. I mean, if you have the luxury of the space and you don't need to worry about it, then by all means put it in the middle. It's no issue at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the dogs at just a random height. Aim here, like so. Okay, and I've got my hinges up. I'll just slide in the track. Okay, so you can see there I've got it in. It's all perfectly easy to use, and slide it up and down. You can then put it into the position that you're comfortable with and lock down the grub screws, keeping the track nice and solid in the dog. And when you want to set the height of the dog, so at the moment I'm using 18mm here, as you can see, it's lots of space there, but it's easy just to loosen the grub through. Track will go down, tighten, and there you go, it's set. Allows you to use it as how it is meant to be, and back down again. And as you can see here, it's still calibrated here because I'm using these dog holes and this whole system as it should be. Okay. And as you can see, I've got it incorporated with our fence system and our right hand fence. I'm also introducing it with our slide stops here. So this is allowing this, giving proper hard support if you're wanting to do lots of either narrow cuts, or you just want to know that you've got a rock solid support all the way around the board before cutting. And as you can see, if I get my track saw here and place it on here, I've got support all the way along, making the product nice and easy to use without having to fight with tracks and making sure it's on there square. And as you can see, easily just go along and make your cut. So going back to the prototypes and the versions that we've got, as you can see here, we've got the Festal ones, which as you can see is identical to what we've done previously. And these work with Festal, Makita, Milwaukee, Evolution G2, and pretty much all the tracks that have the same style as this Festal style track. It's a well-known track and it works great. What we've also introduced, and this is the 3D printed prototype, but works just as well, is we've introduced the Mafel version. Now this one here sits with the Mafel track, exactly the same here, but as you know, Mafel users, the slots are underneath. We had a lot of people ask us that what is the advantage or disadvantage between the hinge dogs compared to our hinge system. And there's no disadvantage or advantage with it, it's just personal preference. If you have a small space in your workshop and you don't have this area back here for a hinge system, then you know these are a great item. But if you have got that, and for ease of use, you can literally just, I've got the ones here set up on the table plate here, you can literally just bring your track up, get it out of the way, put your big sheet in, and then put your track back down again. And that is sometimes better than this, because if you're working with big long panels, you've got to maneuver that around here, especially if you're in a very tight space like a garage or little tiny workshop. And as people know, we've got two types of hinge systems. We've got the one that attaches to our workstation table here. This is done with the plate here. Now originally, when I invented this hinge system, it was for people that don't have the luxury of these tables here. They've got a workstation, or they've got an MFT top that is sat on trestles, or they've built their own frame but it doesn't have extrusions, and that's why we had the original quad dog version. And this was great because it just literally fits into your table like this, like so, and that gives you the complete setup without having the expense of this. And then obviously when we came up with our workstation, it only seemed right that we designed the plates to go on the side, allowing you have the maximum cut that you need, because there's a lot of real estate here that you can claim back with that. And these are available on our website in bundles with the workstations, so it's all perfectly easy enough to get obtained. But these hinge dogs are for the ease of use for smaller workshops. And they are cheaper than the hinge systems. They're not as complex as this, but just as accurate as the hinge systems. As you can see, the hinge dogs work perfectly and seamlessly with all of our products. And you can see here we've got it with our fence system. And as you can see from this side here, we have the under rail support here. So this is all the way to the cut line here. you knowing that you've got support here whenever you're using your track saw, or if you've got a fence here and you've got a small piece here, you need that support behind it. The support dog here and the fence here eliminates any tear out. And the same with the cutting strip. You know, I've seen people with extrusion here with a hollow part, and the problem you get, if you're cutting MDF, yeah, it's going to be fine. But if you're using ply, you're going to get tear out underneath, and you don't really want that. So this is why a cutting strip at the same height as your workstation is the best route to go. Okay. Also that we have on the system here, as you can see, that's set up, we've got our right hand support. Now, the right hand support is great. Now, if you've got either narrow cuts that you want to make, you can simply bring your flag over once you've calibrated it, and I'll just show you how I calibrated it. So I'm using a 20mm block, and I've got my cut line here. Now all of that is all perfectly lined up, and I'm using one of our squares here. So I've got that perfectly in line with our, here we go, with our cutting strip. So that's now calibrated to our saw. And now I want to make sure that we got 20mm from the setup block here. So you can see I can just move that over, tighten that up, and now that is calibrated to 20mm. If I want to do a narrow cut at say 50mm, I will then set my flag stop here at 50mm here, because I know I've got 20mm from here. So I'll set that there at 50mm. I can loosen these off, move these out the way, bring the hinge up, slide my board over, put my hinge back down, slide there, and there. And there is my 50mm strips that I can cut over and over again, no matter how many times I want to take this out. I want to put it back in again. I know that's 50mm every single time. And that's how simple it is by using the hinge dogs. You can just easily just move your workpiece, put it back in, do another one, over and over again. Now, what I've spoken about here is great that you can do this on your cross cuts, but what about if you want rip cuts and you've got yourself a nice big workstation like this, or an 8x4 sheet table, something that you can process your 8x4 sheets on. The good thing about our hinge dogs here is we can turn it and we can put it this way to get your rip cuts out. Now, before, when you had the other dogs, it was okay to do it, but you could never do it with one of our hinge systems, purely because you would need, one, a very long track to deal with it, plus you would also need the height to be able to bring the track up. So that's the great thing about this product here, is it allows you to manage your sheets without the hassle of where does my track go. So I'm going to set that up for you now and show you how that works. I'm about to set this up for crosscuts, for using larger sheets. And I don't have a full sheet available, but I have an 8x4, sorry, an 8-foot length piece, which I'm going to show you how to work on, purely because I don't have the full space here set up for the whole sheet. So as you can see over here, I've got set up here with our fence system, and I'm using it in this configuration here. Exactly the same setup as before when doing rip cuts, but I've just moved it on this side here. I've got the dogs in place here, and I've also got our other dog here, and I've made sure that this is over 8 foot away. Okay, so I know that obviously my workpiece is going to fit in here. Now, what I've also got is once again our slide stops here, and our flag stop set up over here. So if I get a workpiece here now, I'm just going to put this on top here, just to give it support, because as I said, it's a long distance for the track, and you will get a bit of bowing in it while you're setting it up if you don't use a board. So using a 3-meter track that I've got here, I've already pre-set up our dogs here. Now these you can keep loose and move it to where you need it to be when you're setting it up. And what I'm going to do here now, I'm just going to bring the dog over to and fix it down. This I find the easiest way to do it, especially when working with a long track. And the same again over here. I'm going to set it up, so I've lined that up, so let me just make sure that's aligned. So leave this one a bit loose, I can put that in there. Fix that down and then tighten up. So pretty much exactly the same way as we set up for cross-cutting. Make sure that's tight, and as you can see here, I can lift the track up. Now when using a conventional track, you've then got to sit and think about if you're using clips or these other hook things that you've got here that go onto tracks. You can't do that with them. You have to remove your track to put your board in. But the great thing about that is, as you can see, I've got the track out of the way. I can get my workpiece without having to worry about where my track's going to go. Put it in, put it to my setting which I want to cut. Where, you know, this can be 600mm if you're doing cabinets. It could be if you're doing 100mm or 80mm if you're doing plimps. You know, the accessibility is so much easier with these type of hinge dogs. And then once again, just put your track down, you're all set up, and you're good to go. And that's the beauty of these dogs. And as I mentioned earlier, you know, the hinge systems are great, but you try and find a way that you could lift this track all the way up, because you need some serious headspace there. And if you're in a garage, that's not going to work. These are a perfect way to resolve this issue. So one of the other things that we've been asked about when we released the hinge dogs was they already had the guide rail dogs, and some people already had the 40mm version. And on our website, we offer only the 95mm. Now, the reason we only offer the 95mm is because the amount of height of the dog that you need to come out from the table to actually engage for, you know, the basics 18mm, it needs to have 30mm out of the table. So with the 45mm, or sorry, the 40mm, it wouldn't give you enough stability inside the dog to create, you know, to make it more sturdy. So this is why we only do it with the 95mm ones. So when we first released the product and we had it on pre-order, there was a couple of options for them. It was the dogs, hinge dogs themselves, or it was the hinge dogs and the 95mm dogs kit. Now in the kit, it showed the original collar that was supplied with it. We are not going to send you that part, but we are going to send you this part, which is part of the actual kit now. Now, if you ordered it where you already had these dogs and you didn't order this kit, we're going to send you this part to go with the dogs that you already have. There you go. You can find the hinge dogs on our website at benchdogs.co.uk. Thanks for watching.